transparent. Your spelling, transparency. So I know you'll understand number of colors, image, and transparent. Let me just send it the way it is. Don't worry about the grammar. So I want you to look at the other types of images because you have just discussed two. So you know the other types. Go and research about the other types and see what they are and their features. Okay, so the most important thing that I want us to discuss is how do you insert an image? How do you insert an image? To insert an image, the basic HTML format for an inline image tag is IMG. IMG is the main tag that we use to insert an image. This tag has one main attribute and other attributes that will make your image to be presented on a page. The main attribute is SRC. This is the main attribute, SRC, which defines the name of that image. So you say SRC is equals to the file name of that image. And then you must also indicate the extension. I remembered I said in the last lesson that anytime you want to capture your image or you want to link to a page, it is advisable to have that image in the same folder as your page that is calling the image. And the first thing that we do is we create a folder. Then in that folder, we put all the images and we put all the pages so that it is easier to link to that image. Because if they are not in the same folder, then you will be forced to enter the directory or to enter the path of that image. You have to say root directory C :/folder/folder until when you reach your image. And that is not the best way of doing it. The best way of doing it is to have the image and all the pages stored in one folder, so that even when I ask for you to submit the assignment, you simply submit the entire folder rather than trying now to start copying your work into one folder. Because one challenge, if your image is in a separate folder and then you want to copy this work into another disk, then you'll have a problem trying to link to the new direction. Because if this image was in drive C and now you copy your image to drive D, it will not link unless you come back here and change the drive to D. And you find that is how you will not have consistency in naming of your images and also your pages. So the best is to have them in one folder, and then we simply refer to the file name, which will give us the path for that image. So you're saying the first part of the tag tells the browser to expect an image. That is what this will do. Then the second part, this one, specifies the location of the image. So image IMG tells the browser to expect an image, and then SRC is simply to define the path, the location where the image is stored. So this IMG is an empty tag. When we say it is empty, we mean we don't close it. We just write IMG SRC, and then there's no closing of IMG tag. We just write IMG as it is. And then we have other attributes of IMG. So apart from SRC, you also need to define the height and width of your image. Apart from SRC, this one, you also need to define the height of your image and also the width. These are normally in pixels. Pixels means dots per inch. That is the type of measurement, especially for the display. We use pixels, dot per inch. So that now you can vary the size accordingly. You can vary the size to fit what you want your image to be. So you are saying you can also include these two. Without these two, for sure, your image will not be displayed. So you have to specify the height and also the width. Then furthermore, by default, if you insert an image, it will be displayed on the left side of your screen automatically. But you can also control. You can decide where you want your image to be aligned. Do you want your image to be at the center? Do you want your image to be on the right or left, top or bottom side of your screen? So you can decide that using an attribute called align. You can decide the alignment of your image, whether you want your image to be at the top of your screen or at the top, just at the top of that space you have allocated. It can be the screen or it can be a table or the bottom of that space. So if you want to align it, you simply say align is equals to then the type of alignment that you want to apply. So as you can see, this is not programming, it's just formatting. We are just formatting, we are just putting tags. We are not following any logic. Because in programming, there is logic. But here, we are just formatting a page. But we are using a special language to do the formatting. And that language speaks in tags. We use tags to speak this language to communicate with the machine. So that any time you include a certain tag, it means something to the machine. And the machine will respond depending on the tag. And we said that these tags come with attributes. An attribute describes a tag further. So that apart just from IMG, we need other attributes to qualify the tag so that now we can be able to come up with a better way of displaying a page. Then we also have other attributes for the image. We have the border attribute. This is used to place or eliminate a border around the image. So the border is also measured in pieces. That is the thickness of the border. So when you say the border 0, that image will have no border. Automatically, by default, the border is kept at 0. So if you insert an image, it will have no border. But if you want that image to have a border, then you must specify in pieces the thickness. You can put 5 here and you'll see the effect. That image will be bordered. So that is how you apply the border attribute. Then lastly, for the image, we have the alt attribute. Because so far we have discussed how many class. Kuna mtu mwingine anasikia mwalimu anakatika ama it's me only. That is Mary. Can you respond, members? Do you hear me? Let's hear from other members before I continue. That is from Mary. According to Maria is saying it's clear. Dixon, Ngomi, so it's clear. Mary, kindly check your side. Confirm from your side, because we have confirmed from the rest that it is clear. So confirm from your side, Mary. So the alt attribute is used to define an alternate text for the image. Sometimes the image might not be displayed due to some various reasons. E.g., maybe the path is not correct, the path that you defined. The path, when you said here, maybe the name was not correct. So if you don't put the correct name, then the image will not be displayed. Therefore, if it is not displayed, you need to have a name that will appear there instead of the image, so that someone will know that there was an image that was to be displayed at that point. So that name is defined by the alt attribute. It is defined by the alt attribute, where alt, you specify the name that will appear if, due to some reasons, the image is not appearing, then alt will take over and display this text that you define at that point. So that is how you can insert an image. It is that easy. You simply put the right tag and the image will be displayed. So I think that is all about image. I will do it with a demonstration. I will try to insert an image and then we see what will happen. But first I have to put the image and the HTML in one page so that we are able to see how the image is inserted. So in the next few minutes, I want us to have a demonstration on how to insert an image. Okay, so I hope you are able to see my desktop. Remember, we said that first you go to Notepad, you open your Notepad, or we can still open an existing Notepad HTML document. I can go to my folder. I don't know what was the name of our document that we used in the last lesson. I've had different classes. I'll just choose one. Let me choose this one. Hello. I think that was maybe the first one that we used, or I used with another class. Then I open with Notepad. Now these are different. This is for JavaScript. We remove the JavaScript so that we have HTML. So this one, you can give it a title. You can call it picture. Picture. You can have a heading. You can have a heading, heading 1. You can insert a picture. Apply HR. I just want us to remind ourselves what we did last. We talked about HR. We also talked about background color. You say BG color, and then you specify the color and say yellow. Yellow. Wale wanatoka Ukambani, hii ni color wanapenda sana, yellow. And then we can have a paragraph. Just for revision purpose, a paragraph, we say zebra. 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 Kenya. In Kenya. Just an example. And then we close. I hope you're able to see from your site what we are doing. Then I want us to insert an let me save this one first. Let me save it. And I call it zebra. Oh, there's another zebra I did with another class. So I call it zebra 2. Or I can just replace the other one. Zebra HTML. Zebra HTML. Then I save. Once I save, I can search for a zebra image online. I can go online. I go to here. I'd already searched before. So this zebra there written. I can go to images. You can see that is I'm Googling for zebra images. And then I pick one. And pick this one. And then I right click. I say save image. I'm saving this image so that I can use it, although you cannot just use images from another source. say save. I'm saving it in the same folder where my document is. My document is here in HTML in the desktop. So that is where I'm also saving the picture. And then I say save. I will replace. So already I have the picture with me. So if I go back to my folder, you can see this is our picture in the same folder. That is the picture, and this is the document. So I still insist that the picture and the document must be in the same folder for you to have a better way of referring to the image. Then we go back to our notepad. We can now insert the image comfortably. So we say img source is equals to the name of that file is called Zebra. I called it Zebra, and it is JPG. That is the name of the file. Then we give it a height. Give it a height of maybe 150 and a width of maybe 120. You can put it in any order. You can start with width, then followed by height, or you can start with height, then followed by width. I think those are the most important attributes. Then we can say alternate text is Zebra. If you are not able to display that, the name Zebra will be displayed. Then we close, and that is it. So inserting a picture is as simple as that. You simply indicate the right tag, you indicate the source, and then this is the name of that file that we inserted. Then you save your work, you minimize, and then you execute. You execute. This is my file or my document. I open with, I prefer Chrome. That is what I normally use. As you can see, that image is shown there. Zebra is shown there, but I have stretched it. I've stretched the height. I need to put it in the correct height so that it takes the original height. So that is generally how you insert an image. It's that simple. You just indicate the right tags and you are able to insert the image. So now I want us to move to the next topic, that is tables. How do you divide this page into sections? For you to divide this page into sections, you have the title coming here. You can have on this side a line drawn there so that you have some items at the center, some items below. The best way to do it is by using a table. So I want us to discuss on how you can insert a table and how you can make a table to provide you with the framework that lay out your page. So let me stop sharing the screen. So unless there's any question up to there? Any question? If there's no question, I continue. But if there's anything, you can post as we progress. But now let me save your attendance. I'm saving your attendance. You are 30 currently. I think 28. That is, if you don't count me, you are 28. So I'm saving that so that now I use it as my record. So this is BMC. Okay. So now that we have inserted an image, I want us to move to tables. So what is a table? What is a table? So a table is a critical object in designing your HTML page. It is actually a container. It is a container for all other objects. So you can have a table to divide your page into sections to enable you to have different objects aligned accordingly in a certain order. You can decide that you want to have the title of your page to be at the top. So you subdivide that. You may want to have at the bottom some basic information and downloads, the way you see in other websites. You might decide that on the left side, you want to have the list of major items that you are providing. And then at the center, maybe you want to display different images and so on. So you can decide to subdivide your page accordingly, and the best way to divide is by using tables. Another way of dividing your page is by using frames, but frames are not common today. The most common way of doing it is by drawing a table and then making that table to fill the entire page. The width of your table to fill the entire page, and then as you continue entering values, the height will move progressively with the values that you enter. So for you to come up with a table, you need to start with the table tag. You start with the table tag. We use the table tag to define the table. And then once we have the table tag, we divide the table into rows. We divide the table into rows. And we do this by using tr tag. We use tr tag to divide a table. Then we have again to divide the rows into data cells. We divide the rows into data cells, and in this case we use td. We use td tag. So with those three tags, you can design your table. First, you start with the table tag, you close it at the bottom to show the end of the table. Then you start a row with tr, then you close that row with a closing tr. Then if you want to have more than one column, we use td to separate tr into columns. So that is how you create a table. A data cell is a very important part of the table. It is actually referred to as a container because it is able to carry a text, it is able to carry an image, a list, a paragraph, a form, even another table. You can have them inside a data cell. And with this simple concept, you are able to align your work so that in your page, you have subdivision. You have different sections in your page. we have an example of a table. As you can see here, we have the table. You start with the table here. You start with the table, and then you end with the table. You can define the border of that table, or you can still have a table without a defined border where the lines are not seen. If you don't specify the border, then you will not see the lines that draw the table. Then, as we said earlier, a table is divided into rows. So this is row number 1, TR, which you close at this point. The first row you close at that point. Then you subdivide the row into table data. So this is the first subdivision. This is table data, TD, and then this is the second table data. You do the same for the second row. You do the same for the second row, where you define the row and then you define the data within the row. You also define the other data. So if you do this, you will have a table with 2 rows and 2 columns. That is what this will do. So you'll have a table, and then in that table, you will have this text written in that table. At the end of this presentation, I'll also do a demonstration on how to draw a table. On the other hand, you can also apply headings, also known as table headings. Table headings are words that will appear a bit bolder than the rest. They will appear bolded, that is thick in color, dark. And for you to do that, instead of TR, we use TH to define the border. So TH stands for table heading. This one stands for table heading. You can have a table heading, and then you can also have the TD, which now specifies the actual data that you have. So that is how you can enhance, you can add the headings. Then taking some time to load. So we have other attributes for the table. First, we have what we call the align attribute. We have the align attribute. So the align attribute controls the horizontal alignment of data. So that if you have data, you may want that data to be on the left side of the cell, or you may want that data to be at the center of the cell, or on the right side. We also have V-align, which controls the vertical alignment, such that you can have top, middle, and bottom. And then you can also specify the width. You can specify the width of your table. And in most cases, if you want that table to take the entire page, you specify the width as 100%. So the width can be defined in pixels or in percentage. And then lastly, we have seen this before, where we also define the border of a table. So you can also define the border. Then we have other attributes. We have cell padding, we have cell spacing. So these one are more advanced attributes. Sometimes you want to control the distance between the data and the border. So we use cell padding. And then sometimes you also want to control the distance between adjacent cells. We use cell spacing. These are attributes. So you simply say cell padding equal to, and then you specify the in pixels. It can be 5, it can be 10. So this will define the distance between data and the cell border, and then cell spacing, the distance between two adjacent cells. So those are a bit, sometimes we don't use them. Then the two most important attributes are these two. There's what we call call span, and there's what we call row span. Call span is an attribute inside TH or TD. It makes the cell to take more than one column. It makes the cell to take more than one column. It is set equally to the number of columns the cell is to occupy. When you want to merge, we use call span to merge cells, whereas you specify the number of cells. So call span is similar to merge, to cell merge. When you merge cells, it's similar to call span. But here you specify with the number of cells you want to span horizontally. The same applies to row span. Sometimes you want to merge cells vertically. So this one, the cell will span more than one row equal to the number of rows, not columns, equal to the number of rows. So you can be able to specify the type of table, the number of cells to merge, which one to merge, which one to remain split, and so on, using call span and row span. So you can be able to do that. We have an example, another example. You can also apply background color. You just say BG color, the one that we have used so far. You can apply colors to your cells, to the cells in the table. You can apply color to the entire table or to the entire row. This one will apply to the entire row. This one will only apply to this cell here. This cell will be colored red. The entire row will be colored blue. So depending on where you want to apply color, you can also put your color here, which will apply to the entire table. So basically, those are the table attributes. They are very important, especially when you want to create a page. So we have our assignment today. This is our assignment. Create a table that will host all other elements in a HTML page. That is our assignment today. Create a table that will host all other elements in a HTML page. So make sure you do that. It will form part of your exercise to allow you to practice on how you can use a table as a host of other elements. So I just want to briefly demonstrate how all this is done, so that after today, that will be the end of HTML. And then in the next lesson, I will introduce JavaScript. So I want us to do the demonstration. So allow me to share screen in the next 5 minutes. So I hope you're able to see. So I hope you're able to see. Let me share again because I cannot see it on my phone. Let me share again. Right now it's coming. I want us to go back to HTML and especially the editor. And this time around, I want us to come up with a table. So our table, as we said, let me delete this. And then I save as. And this time now I call it table. That's the name of our file, table HTML. Still in the same folder, HTML. And then we said for you to come up with a table, you say table. And then you also close the table. Close the table. I hope you can see from different ends. Then to create a row, we said tr. We'll create a row and you close tr. You can have several rows. Let's have td. So this will now split the row into parts. So you say td, and then you can say what you want to appear there. It could be names, then you close td. And then you can have another item to appear on this side so that we have two columns. So it could be maybe marks. So you say td and then marks. Then you close td. So that is how you come up with a row. Then you can create another row. We can copy the entire row here. We copy, then we put it there. And then now we give different names. Can be Peter, and then marks for Peter. Maybe it is 70. We can do another one. We can put another name. And say Mary, and then marks for Mary. So that's how we basically come up with a table. And we can now save it again. And then we run our table. So because I've not run this before, the table HTML. I have to go back here and open it. Right click, and then I open with Chrome. You can see our table there. The title is still there, Kenya Wildlife. The title is still there, but our table is there. Then you'll notice that this table has no border. There is no border for the table. You'll also realize that the first row are not headings. So we can change that. We can apply borders, and then we can also apply headings. So we go back to our HTML. We say border here. Border is equals to 1. Border is equals to 1. And then this one, we want it to be TH. TD ndio inakuwa TH ama ni TR. Acha tuone. We save and then we run. Tumeharibu. Border imekuja ndio, but we have tumeharibu hapo kwa TH. So what changes? Sio TR inabaki. TR inabaki na TH. TD ina change to TH. TD changes to TH. That one. So we save and then we run. So that is how we do it. And that is how you can come up with a simple table. That's how you come up with a simple table. So we have talked about call span. Let's apply call span. That's another attribute we have talked about. Call span, we can copy this to create another row at the top. We create another row here. Now paste here. But we want this row to carry the title. We want this row to carry the title. So we can say marks, student marks. Student marks. We also want this row to span. So we'll use call span. So we'll come here under TH and say call span. Call span. I prefer small letter. Call span is equal to 2 columns. It will span for 2 columns. So this will make our first row to take 2 columns. So again, we save, and then we run. So that is what will happen. So that is how we can work with tables. We can use different attributes, table attributes, and then we apply different features. What I want us to do now, next, I hope you can hear me, is to now make use of a table to subdivide our page. I want us to make use of a table to subdivide our page so that we make our page to be more presentable. And I want to have our table to have the title part. I want to have our table to have subsections and so on. So we go back to our notepad. We can remove this one. Now we don't need it. And then we can have what we call width. Our width of the table to be 100%. So this statement is so critical. width 100% is so critical. It makes the table to take the entire width of your page. So that now it will start from the far left side of your page to the far right side of your page. Let's demonstrate and see what will happen. We save, and then we see the impact of that width is equals to 100. You can see the impact of width is equals to 100. That is the impact. Then we can now go back and Juma, do you have anything you want to say? Okay, I think so. We can go back to our page, and then we now make this to be our title. We can again say Kenya Wildlife. Wildlife, Kenya Wildlife. That is our title. We can specify a background color here. Background color for that row. So you can say BG color. Maybe is equals to red. Is equals to red or blue. Because yellow and red itakuwa clash. Let's talk of blue. Is equals to blue. So we want to build our title. That's what we are doing. We again run. See what happens. You can see what is happening. So we have our title. So we can continue extending this further. We can have more. We can have an image here. We can have different items in different parts of the page. For example, we can decide that here, where we have name, we want to have lists of items. We can have list of items at that point. Let me delete this one so that we just have two. We don't need to have so many of them. So we can have a list here. We can say UL and then LI for the list. LI for the list. Maybe the type of animals. We have zebra. We close the list. LI again. We copy this list again to create another list. They copy. We create another list. Maybe we say giraffe or lion and use a shorter name. So you can have a whole list of items there. And then we close the list. We say UL, close the list. We can also come here and then we insert an image. We can insert that image of a zebra at this point. So we'll come here, we say IMG and then SRC is equals to zebra. Let me scroll so that you are able to see. Is equals to zebra. And we specify the height. And we also specify the height to be maybe 80 or 100 and width to be maybe 120. Then we close. So as you can see, inside the table, we are having list of items, we are also having an image inside TD. So let's see what happens if we try to run this. So we save, and then we execute. Image haijakuja mzuri, image kuna kitu imekosea, tutaangalia shida iko wapi. So you can see we have the list on this side. We have the image which was to be displayed here. Unfortunately, it is not displaying, but you'll see what has happened. You can have other information at the bottom. Then you continue entering other items. It will still fill, and your page can be divided into several parts. So let's see what happened to the image. Image. We're starting from here. Oh, sorry. Zebra.jpg. Zebra.jpg. And then we quote. That was the problem. So we say save. And then we execute again. So you can see. So we have our image on that side. We have the list of items. We can put a link where you click and then an image appears here. So we cannot take all the time to format the entire page. So I want you to do that as part of your work, as a way of practicing. Try to work with the entire page. You can change the color of this part alone to a different color. You just say PG color in this cell. You can change this color also in that order. So you can do a lot with a table. So as long as you're able to manipulate your table, then you'll be able to design your page to be more attractive and more appealing to the user. So that is simply how you can come up with a table, and also how you can come up with an image. So let me stop sharing at that point. We go back to our slide. I think that was the last slide. And I want to end at that point so that the next 1 hour at your different points, I want you to do this work at your different points. So I want you to create a table and then let that table host other items. It can be an image, it can be another link. So try to play around with the table, see what will happen. In the next few minutes, I'll also be sending the slide so that you can even read more. And then according to public demand and according to those who are attending, because you are 26 or 30 out of around 100, so it means our next class will be physical. So on Wednesday, the same time, we shall meet in campus. I will identify which lab is free so that we meet in the lab and we see how we can be able to continue from this point. Unless there's any question up to there? Yes, that is from Dixon. I want to share the notes immediately. Mary, thank you. Good day. Same to you, Mary.